Welcome to the Week in Italian Startup, where we discuss the latest highlights happening in the Italian tech and investment ecosystem. Aptus.AI, Pisa-based reg-tech startup raising 3 million pre-Series A funding round, led by Programma 103, an investment fund managed by P101. The round also saw the participation from business angel, basically investing in fintech, and the accelerator of CDP Venture Capital. So, in the big wave of AI that me and you were trying to explore and understand better, that's good news actually. It's a great application of AI. Probably it's kind of solving a big quandary. So basically, Aptus.AI is working on AI-powered machine-readable regulation, which basically allows their platform to have interactive access to legal data specifically for banking and insurance compliance. So it's kind of a very niche application, but extremely valuable probably. Because again, compliance is a big part of banking probably when it comes to actually staying up to date with the latest regulation. And that's one excellent way to actually apply a very interesting language model that can actually do something like that. What is your take on that?
No, I agree. I can imagine that any financial institution spends a good bunch of money and resources to keep up to date with what the regulators are doing, are thinking, and are implementing into law. I'm not an expert, but I've seen or I've read regulations, and that's extremely difficult to follow, to rebuild, to understand how's the flow, what's the predecessors of the regulation, where it is coming from. So the problem is there. The budget is there, and the two things put together, I think they're a very good starting point for Aptus.
Yeah, I agree. They develop like this platform, so it's a SaaS platform, Diatomic, basically giving you immediate access to legal docs. And as you mentioned precisely, they have a concept called legal inventories, which essentially tracks a regulation, which is probably like a big headache for compliance people both in banking and insurance. So very useful product probably for very specific kind of person. They also do two things which are particularly interesting, which is an impact analysis. So they really are working toward sort of, as new regulation come out, provide insight to a compliance officer about what is the impact of that regulation on the current status of the bank the compliance officer is working for. So that's probably another like big headache which they try to solve.
Because I was thinking about the next step in this product. So the first step is to solve the problem with the compliance officer, so no headache about the regulation. The next step is to solve the opportunity for the structurer, the guy selling financial products. So you say, this is the new regulation. These are the ways you can build things around the regulations, and there you are.
Nice.
A new revenue stream generator for banks and insurances.
Beautiful. That's like a nice add-on, down the road. That's another module for the SaaS platform. There you go.
Yeah, I'm leaving this proposal out there for free. So.
All right, talking about RegTech for a second. So regulatory technology basically is a subset of fintech for the people listening. As it's clear, it focuses on technologies facilitating the delivery of regulatory requirements. In general, from the market, we probably can narrow down to two big trends happening right now in the industry. Basically, the first one is AI, like we discussed. So these advanced algorithms product, increasing basically the use case for real-time monitoring, analysis, and also identify potential regulatory breaks and breaches in general. So that's extremely valuable for sure. The second one, still surprisingly, blockchain is still like a big topic in RegTech, which makes sense to a certain point. So basically, the ability to provide secure and immutable records of any blockchain, the kind of ledger, how ledger are structured, it makes sense actually. Still people are working on the blockchain part in RegTech. The third and last element in RegTech, big trend, is the data protection and customer protection. So everything, people working on biometric solution and AI, basically to enhance KYC, know your customer processes, and basically detect suspicious activities. So RegTech is huge, touching different points in fintech, but not only that, cybersecurity, blockchain. So it's kind of an interesting like toolbox of different different parts. So that's pretty interesting.
I agree. And in a sense, Europe should be an important market for RegTech because of the countries, the different regulations. I mean, there is the overall regulation set out by the European Commission, but at the end of the day, it's a bunch of countries that adopt the same regulation, and then they apply it to their own in all the different spectrum, from commercial to company to legal to whatever. So I expect the European one to be a thriving market for startups solving the regulation problem, so helping society to better understand and work with regulation.
Interesting.
What do you think?
I agree. I mean, Europe definitely has way more complexities than a few Anglo-Saxon countries. So, put that in perspective. Put talent into a high regulated market, and then they see opportunities in actually solving those issues. 100%. No, that's a good point. Well, Italy in particular, notably slow and heavily regulated in many different ways. So yeah, probably the next RegTech, big, massive unicorn will come from a high regulated country with different boundaries. Yeah, that's
that could be
definitely something interesting. One interesting part also, which I was thinking about, is when we discussed a few sessions ago about like AI, big models versus small fine-tuned models. So this seems to me like a very interesting application on how the power of fine-tuning for a very specific task is taking shape. I don't know if it's going to be the next big sort of insight into AI in general, but definitely very helpful if there is like an LLM that actually can do these kind of stuff extremely effectively with background knowledge, data precisely built on top of legal documents and regulation and whatnot. That's extremely powerful. That's probably a good way to solve like a specific problem extremely effectively.
So this is a good point. I wonder, not if, but when, at which point we will have an LLM that's good enough as a base layer to be effective in the RegTech market. So I'm thinking about, the current GPT-4 like a kind of family of LLMs are very good at reasoning machines, right? But they're not very good at solving procedural tasks such as a math problem, right? And there is all of these Q-star, gossip, rumor that can solve simple mathematical problems. That's probably what you really need in order to be really effective in regulation, because there is this strict logic, strict relationship between facts and components of the regulatory body. They probably need a mathematical-like type of reasoning. We're not there yet to be fully ready to apply this technology to the vertical. I think Aptus is probably a good step in that direction, but things will improve.
Yeah, interestingly enough, like one insight, there was a good video from Karpathy about LLM, intro to LLM, and what he's saying is that basically LLM is going to be the next GPU. So the next sort of processing unit is going to be an LLM, and on top of that, people are going to build. So maybe that's what's going to happen in the future, where the big parameter, 170 billion plus model is sort of the base. On top of that, people are going to play on the fine tuning, and there you go. You have like a specific product applied in different use case in particular. So maybe that's that's just the beginning of that.
Yeah, this is a good abstraction. Yeah, I saw that chart. A very good abstraction of a potential future.
Right, going back to Italy, let's talk about new players in the market. Digital Magic's preparing to launch Step Ventures. So not much information is out there. Well, Digital Magic is one of the big uncles of the Italian VC ecosystem, always been there since the beginning. Always launched like different projects. The latest one is Step Ventures, which essentially has been created to support sustainability, fintech, insurtech, seed and pre-seed Series A, and they're going to write ticket between $500,000 to $2 million. There is a beginning website, not too clear yet how they're going to perform, but it's a good news.
Yeah, I think we will wait for more information about the new fund. That was a breaking news article, so probably a bit early to have the full picture. But as always, an additional player in the seed stage, that's very welcome in the ecosystem. So very good.
Another player, Fleap Holding. So essentially an investment vehicle which is backed by Banca Valsammina, Azimut, and Fleap Digital. Basically, they put together resources to build these investment vehicles. Investing in startups across Europe, and basically the particular element is they're going to raise capital through quasi-equity instrument, SFP, in Italy. Basically, they're fully tokenized on the blockchain. So back on the blockchain and back to a very unique application. What is your feel on that, Nick?
I mean, it is interesting. We are still experimenting. But it's nice to see that more mature proposals are coming out of experimentation. I think Fleap was already in the sandbox of Bank of Italy. They have been working with Bank of Italy on the regulatory side, and Azimut is not new in investing in things or investment opportunities related to the blockchain. So they're putting accumulated knowledge to work. I think this is probably the first time that they actually deploy this knowledge to the Italian market. So I'm curious about how that will work, how they work. Of course, I'm curious about investment thesis, where they're gonna act, how it's gonna work. So.
Yeah, what is cool is also that Fleap has been basically surviving the big blockchain apocalypse in a way. They're providing services to companies actually to digitize on the blockchain a lot of elements, a lot of corporate governance elements, which is interesting. So it's really making the funding and the management of a company very, very lean, very simple, based on a ledger, very transparent, and on top of that, issuing SFPs and bonds in a very, very lean manner. So I don't know if that's going to be the future of corporate governance and documentation, but that's an interesting step for sure in a very transparent application of the blockchain technology.
Yeah, I agree. So let's say that there was a crypto winter, but it was related to the crypto, NFT, currencies and stuff like that. But the underlying technology is still boiling underneath the surface. So I think there will be a new wave of things, maybe more useful than the past wave, appearing in the next few years. So still long blockchain.
I agree. No, I agree. I mean, marketing-wise, being on a blockchain is gonna, give you any extra point. But, the sort of distributed ledger still makes sense. That's it's more of a PR and marketing issue at this point, more than a technical issue.
It's an anti argument to use in marketing communication. They're on blockchain.
Exactly.
Dangerous.
Exactly. Red flag, potential red flag. Exactly. But I think in the future, everyone is going to talk distributed ledger technology, DLT, it's kind of, people are start looking into that, avoiding the blockchain. kind of like in the same way that now the US government is not talking about UFOs anymore. They coined another acronym for unidentified flying objects, and that's basically how they talk about it. So maybe that's the same sort of announcement. All right, so let's finish with the report compiled by Italian Tech Alliance on the performance of equity crowdfunding in Italy. So equity crowdfunding has been like huge and basically raising capital since 2014 up. Italian Tech Alliance essentially collected data points on the different platforms that have been active on the market. We saw a peak pretty much in 2021 with 100 million raised. Up to date, the full amount of money raised through equity crowdfunding is 353 million. Since 2014. So it's interesting. It's not a huge amount for a sort of a small market. It's definitely significant, especially for pre-seed and seed investments. Two interesting elements that emerge are the fact that by far the vertical with more funding are projects from the food and agri-tech space. So just a little insight, that's probably where people seem like more sensitive. And second, the actual average raise happened in fintech project. So with an average in fintech of 723,000 for a fundraise, which is almost roughly like twice of the other verticals. So it's definitely significant, and it's interesting to notice that. So yeah, it's something there. People are still using it. A lot of fundraising, even later stage like Series A, are going through equity crowdfunding platforms. That's definitely like something to look into the VC, into the Italian VC space for sure.
Even though since the numbers are slightly different than the usual allocation that you see in the pure VC space, let's say across Europe, not only in Italy. There's probably something different in the type of product that the wisdom of the crowd is accepting and is willing to invest into than the type of products that the VCs are investing in. So there is a mismatch there. Is it structural? Is it just given by the opportunity emerging in the market? I don't know, but I'm not 100% sure that crowdfunding and VC are two alternatives on the same market. VC is an extreme niche in terms of the areas of interest of the asset class, and I believe there is no full overlapping between the two. And this data somehow goes in the same direction, but I mean,
interesting.
It's probably still early to tell.
Absolutely, yeah. Not enough time has passed. We don't have full visibility of what's going to happen. I mean, all these shares basically distributed across different people all over the place. What's going to happen to that actually, down the road? But no, I agree. There are a few issues there for sure to see how it's going to evolve. All right, this brings to the end of our session. Thank you so much, Nick, for joining, and see you next week then.
Jack, thank you so much. See you in a week.